Hey homeschoolers, I'm Melissa Webb, former full-time classroom teacher and homeschool mom. I am determined and dedicated to helping you in this journey that you're on. Yes, I want to give you sound, educational, practical tips and advice, at the same time making sure that you're enjoying the family journey that you are on. So if you are looking for a place to be encouraged and inspired, you have found the perfect podcast. Homeschooling is a work of heart is truly the perfect place to start. So welcome. Let's jump in. Hello, homeschoolers and friends. Oh my goodness, so many of you are doing the coolest things in 2025. You are starting the new year so strong. The traveling that I'm seeing, my goodness, Janelle's whole family did this cool cruise. It looked awesome. Ashley's family got a new puppy. So that's so exciting. Chris is working on her next book. And I cannot believe how many of you are following your athletes, your dancers, your BMX riders, your gymnasts. I mean, you guys are going all over God's green earth to compete and to perform. And I know people like Deanna and Heather are just swamped, right? Busy. We're busy people. And I actually think that's good. When I look and I follow and I watch all the amazing things that are happening in everybody's lives, I smile because this kind of busy is really good. That's living. That is good living right there. And I've been listening to so many people say, oh, we're just so busy, as if it's a bad thing. And I want to challenge that. I love to question my thoughts and my thinking because I really don't think it has to be a bad thing. Busy people are living very full and wonderful lives. I was thinking, well, what's the opposite? If I'm not really busy with life, am I living a life of boredom? Am I living the life of a sluggard? No, thank you. Now, sure, there are times when I suppose busy could mean you're working really late at night or all the weekends allow you to never go spend time with grandma and grandpa or even time as a family around the dinner table. So sure, if it's feeling problematic, you want to put some intention into solving that. But again, if it's because you're living your best life, stay busy and have fun. I really love listening to people's thoughts. It's like they let me into their brains and I pay close attention. People do this all the time. They don't even realize they're doing it because when we are in conversation, we are sharing our thoughts. That's all that conversation is. I'm telling you thoughts that I think are probably very factual, but often they're not factual at all. They're just my thoughts. And it's how I'm interpreting a circumstance. And I think it's funny that when you listen to people and they present their thoughts and they come off as their total truths, and I realize that often that's kind of an optional sentence floating around in your head. You could believe it or reject it. Like, I just think that. And I hold my tongue all the time because nobody wants me to be coming into their brain and being like, how is that thought serving you? Some people do, by the way. And when people do ask, hey, I want you to coach me on this thought that I have, I'm all in because I love that. I ask my friends, I need you to coach me on this thought that I'm having all the time. I'm like, okay, I keep thinking this. I don't want to think this anymore. Help me out. I think that's great that we can do that with each other. And I don't think you have to go pay big bucks to have somebody in your life, a good friend, kind of help you with your thinking. What happened this week that stirred the idea for this week's podcast, which is called Writer's Block and Other Myths, it was when a student was telling us just how busy his family's been. And he was saying, we all got so sick and then we've just been really, really busy. And when I finally did have time to open up my writing assignment, then I was like struck with writer's block. And I'm listening to all of it. But inside my head are fireworks. Like all of these things are going on in my head. Like, how factual is all of this? Because do we all agree that busy, that's a pretty subjective word, right? What does that even mean to you? It's probably different than what it means to me. Because here's the thing, when I'm like, bummer, I bet you didn't get to do any gaming. And he's like, oh no, I was still able to game every day. Good for you. I'm glad you weren't that busy. And then the part about they all got sick, that's pretty vague, right? And I didn't ask him to get factual about this. But was everybody in the house bedridden? Probably not. I mean, I've been sick with a cold and a cough that has gone on for days, a week, and I still get up, I get showered, I get dressed, I go to work. I may end my day a little early. I may not go for my long walk if it kind of, feel congested, but I can still get stuff done. But it was the final thing that was said that really struck me. And that was when he said he was struggling with writer's block. And so today I'm going to challenge this widely accepted belief. I'm going to say writer's block is a myth. It's not real. Oh, I want to know if that ruffles your feathers. Are you like, oh my gosh, where are you going with this? Yes, it's true. I've had it before. It is a true thing. That's interesting. Catch those thoughts, take them captive, pay attention to what today's episode does for your own thinking. Because all I'm doing is sharing with you the thoughts in my brain. And you get to decide after you listen, and it's good to listen to everybody's thoughts. But just know you don't have to accept them. You can reject everything I say today. Or you could say, I never thought about it that way. Thank you for the new thoughts. I'm adopting them. Okay? All right. I am curious if you believe in writer's block. There was a time when I would use that. I was like, I have writer's block today. And I'd be like, I'm just going to go for a walk, which there's nothing wrong with that. But all of a sudden, I started to question it. And here's the thing. If it is a true fact, it can be scientifically proven, right? 2 lawyers could put this up in a court of law and it could be proven that it exists, but it cannot. Writer's block is not something that can be scientifically proven. It's not factual. It's just a thought. And all thoughts are optionals. They are. All thoughts are optional. I love having free will, don't you? I get to believe or disbelieve whatever I want, and so do you. So I want to tell you, as I was writing down some of my bullet points, I noticed how I do practice what I preach. So I teach academic writing to homeschooled children in upper elementary and middle school. And one of the practices that we work on is how to write a persuasive essay. And there are specific things that I would tell my students to do if they wanted to turn this topic into a persuasive paper. I think it would make a great persuasive essay. So if you're like, oh, I didn't think about that, take this, run with this. If you're not in any of our programs, I still think this would be a great prompt. And it's an opinion piece because people are going to agree or disagree. So is writer's block a real thing? And then you could have your child write to yes, it is, or no, it isn't. And I'm just going to show you the first 3 things that I would teach a student if they were writing an introductory paragraph that would engage the interest of the reader and get them to continue reading as well as understand my clear point of view. Okay? So step 1 would be I'd want to hook you with a question. So here would be my question. If writer's block were real, then wouldn't most people also share how they suffer from pay my bills block, fold the laundry block, and what to make for dinner block? I like to use humor, and a question makes for a good hook. And all of a sudden, I've intrigued your brain. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, what are we really saying there? The second thing that I would have my students do is I'd say it's important now that you give some background information. What are you even talking about? So I would include some things like, by definition, writer's block is a, quote, temporary or prolonged inability to produce written content, end quote. It's good to always have a reliable resource. So definitions work well for something like that. I would go on to say that it is commonly accepted as a writer's struggle, but that does not make writer's block factual. It's actually mental. The truth is that it is a thought. I have writer's block, and our thoughts create feelings. How do you feel when you say, I have writer's block? Probably unmotivated. Oddly enough, you were already struggling with resistance or lack of inspiration before you even said, I have writer's block. So that sentence is simply becoming our justification, otherwise known as an excuse for why we aren't doing what needs to be done. So something like that. That would be that background information. So I'd open with the hook, then I'd have that background information, and then I'd want to have my thesis, my main point. For this topic, I'd say something like, writer's block is a myth used as an excuse when our minds feel resistant, fear failure, or have too many disorganized ideas. And that would be the thesis. So all of a sudden, I just thought, I should kind of write something up just to hopefully inspire some of you who listen and are wanting to do more formal academic writing with your children at home. So feel free to re-listen to that if you need to get that idea, jot those ideas down. That is how our students would learn to write an introductory paragraph. We, of course, then expand on the thesis, and that gets expanded into one or multiple body paragraphs. We always wrap things up with a strong conclusion. And if you're writing a persuasive, you want to end with a nice call to action. And by all means, you can check out our website, writeonweb.com, for any of our current digital courses, any of our programs. Okay, but back to the podcast. I want to keep talking about the writer's block myth, but I also want to offer you some great solutions if you have a child who is struggling with not getting work done. And it doesn't just have to be writing, right? It could be, Mom, I have math block today. I have cleaned my room block today. Whatever they're struggling with and not getting done, or if it's something you struggle with, I really hope to give you some ideas to break through that and feel so inspired and successful this week. I really want that for you. You already know me, so many of you know me well, and I love to read and research. And the two great books that I pulled up for some of my thoughts in today's episode came from The War of Art, a great book by Stephen Pressfield. I actually read it for some marketing ideas for a class I was taking, but it's a really good book for a lot of reasons. But he says it's resistance, not writer's block, that's the real enemy. And then also a lot of teachers have read the book Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. If you've not read it, it's a very good book. And again, she talks about how I have writer's block is saying I can't write. And that is a very fixed mindset. You're saying what you can't do. A growth mindset says what you can do. I can write something, even if it's not perfect. Okay. So if you do want more resources, those are two great books I think you will enjoy. The first thing I want you to consider are the real reasons why your child or you are not writing or cleaning or organizing, whatever. There are three. It could be resistance. That's number one. Now, simply stated, this just means you don't want to. You're just resisting. We all have this thought from time to time. #human. This is part of the human experience. Oh my goodness, there's so many things that I don't want to do. I have several coming to my mind right now. What about you? What's coming to your mind that you're like, I need to do this today or this weekend or next week? Do you have one, two, four, more? There are lots of things we don't want to do. That could be the reason. Your child doesn't want to write. Your child doesn't want to clean his room. Your child doesn't want to do her math. It could be resistance. So it's important to become aware of that so you can own it. And we'll talk about that in a second. The second reason why we want to throw out things like, I didn't get it done because I was stuck with writer's block, or whatever block you're having, is that fear of failure or being imperfect. So students will say, well, if I can't write something really good, then I shouldn't write at all. Again, that is a terrible thought. It's a fixed thought that says what you can't do. It's very common. And it's why some people have a dream of writing a book. They even have lots of material and ideas to write that book, but they never write their book or build their business or chase their dream because they have this thought, I could fail. True, you probably will. And what's wrong with that? Why not embrace a growth mindset? I can fail and learn from my mistakes. Again, #human, because we all experience this. It's so normal. But know what it is. It's not writer's block. It's the fear of not getting it right or somebody criticizing you. The last thing that I see happen with students and with myself, sometimes what's really blocking me is that I have so many ideas. It's almost like there are too many decisions that I need to make. So I'm stuck with, where would I even start? And I shut down. It's that disorganization of where to begin. It's an abundance. It's an abundance of too much actually can lead to avoiding it altogether. Sometimes I'll walk into, so we have a laundry room, and I love my laundry room. You walk into the laundry room and you can actually go, like you can look at it, you open the door and you see the sink, and there's a hanger place. You can hang things, and the washer, the dryer, right? Like the cabinets, all that. And then it looks out a window to the front yard. But if you walk all the way to the washer and dryer, you can't tell this until you get there. You actually can turn left. It's really cool. It's this little nook that was built into the laundry room. And it's where you can have a sewing machine set up, and there's more cabinet. I really love my laundry room, except for how it looks right now. I don't love how it looks right now because I couldn't sew if I wanted to. That space is covered with things from the holidays that I still haven't put away. I just dump them all over there. I have cleaned the laundry room block, but I know what it is. It's because I have too many decisions to make. I need to decide what things need to get put away, what things need to be given away, what things need to be thrown away, what things need a new home. Do I start at this level, or do I start higher? Do I start lower? It's overwhelm. And so I could call it that I have cleaned the laundry room block, but I know it's not that. I need to organize my many, many, many ideas. And as soon as I make that list, I'm going to get busy and get it done. So that's important, really important. Okay. The last thing I'm going to share with you after you've decided, and I hope some of you are already grabbing your journals and you're like, oh, this is a good episode. That's great. That's exactly what I want you to do. Okay. So how are we going to help our children or ourselves overcome these struggles? They are real struggles, every one of them, human struggle. What we're not going to do is say, well, I just didn't do it because I had writer's block today, as if it's outside of us, that it's something I couldn't control. We can control it. So we're going to, one, acknowledge that something is blocking our thoughts from working effectively. That's all that's happening. We need better thoughts. Become aware. Is it resistance, fear of failure, disorganization? Acknowledge it. Become aware of it. Number two, own it and add a big but. It's so funny. When we teach narrative, we talk about how to create a storyline. You need somebody who wanted something, But so, and I always tell the students, the bigger the but, the better. They always laugh at me. But it is true. There are times in life when you want a really big but. This would be one of them. You're going to own, in my case, the disorganization. It's so overwhelming. There's so many ideas. I need to organize my thoughts. So I could own it and say, I don't know where to start, but, nice big but this weekend I'm going to grab a piece of paper and I'm going to list the first 5 things I can do. And guess what? All of a sudden, I'm going to know what to do. It's not that I was able to break my writer's block or my clean the laundry room block. No, I just realized what the problem really is and I dealt with it. So again, if you have a child who's like, but you know what, Mom, the honest truth is I don't want to write today or I don't want to do math today. Great. But what's the big but? I will work for 5 minutes. I'll do that. Great. That's going to show some progress. Or how about this one? If it's failure, I may get it wrong, but there's our big but. Something's better than nothing. These are thoughts that look best on paper or on a whiteboard or typed on a computer. However, you're going to get it out of your head, you need to see what it was and what you're turning it into. Again, I could start with, I have no clue where I should even start in this laundry room, but I'm going to do one thing today, right? Those big buts are a really good thing. Okay, the third thing, and this is important, after some success has been experienced, think a celebratory thought. We need to rewire our brain. Now, this can be singularly if it's just you did something, your child did something. I did it. I figured it out. My brain is awesome. A positive thought, but your child may not go to that right away. So that's a great conversation to have together. After your child works on math for 5 minutes and gets one problem out of 20 done, and you want to be frustrated because you're like, there's still 19 problems. Celebrate the one. High five. Give a hug. Be like, look, you did it. 5 minutes, you got it done. You did it. That's fantastic. I'm proud of you. Let's go take a break. Let's work on science. We'll do this 2 more times today. And if we can get at least 3 problems done, you will be done with math today. Right? You've got to meet your child where your child is. And again, if your child's struggling that much, by the way, probably needs to do some reteaching because it shouldn't be that challenging. One of the things I used to do just to see where the struggle was is I would race my children in math problems. So I would sit down with Adam and we had this little mini whiteboards. If you don't have mini whiteboards, you need like a stack for several people in your house, all to use at one time. It makes it more fun. Plus you can erase it super quickly. So we both had our little mini whiteboard and we'd say, you can't start. You got to write the problem down, and then we'd be like, go. And as I'm figuring it out, I'm watching him peripherally through, my eye to the left and just kind of watching, what is he doing? Where is he making that error? And it was a real insight for me. So there's just another helpful tip. I'm wondering if you're thinking it may be time for a family meeting. If this is a struggle in your family, this might be something worth having a good discussion about. And come into it with, hey, I have some solutions. I have some great ideas. I want to try some things. Hey, we're going to do our own family science experiment and see if these things work. Or I want you to help me. Sometimes that's really great to empower your child to help you maybe start some good habits of getting more things done. Maybe you need to do some journaling. Your child can do some journaling around this. It's all good. But here's what's not enough. What's not enough is to listen to this, 20-minute, 25-minute, it's going long, episode this week and move on with your life and not practice this. You have to put this into practice. Imagine how much more successful your child will be moving forward when this whole thought work is mastered. I would have loved to have known this and understood this when I was younger. Now's the time to teach our children to own their thoughts, realize they're optional, and choose with intention. I know you want that for your kiddos. We all want that for our children. So it's very important that you put this into practice. And yes, for those who are truly paying attention, that would be my call to action. I stayed persuasive, didn't I? All throughout. I can't help it. I will tell you, it is time to quit the myth that writer's block is this terrible plague that we can catch. It's not true. It is not a fact. It is not factual. They are just thoughts, and our thoughts are meant to be challenged. So let's challenge them, my friend. Right on. Well, thanks so much for tuning in and listening this week. Hey, if this was something that you found valuable, don't forget you want to subscribe or follow so that every time a new episode is dropped, you'll be the first to know. And hey, before you go, if you are looking to get some of this academic writing under your belt and outsourced so that it's one less thing, freeing you up to enjoy more time with your family, hey, you're going to want to head over to writeonweb.com to see what kinds of resources and materials I have available for you. I will look forward to seeing you there, and I will look forward to seeing you here in our next episode. Right on.